Hello, welcome to the Live at 5 in the wild, the beautiful outdoors this week. I was feeling cooped up, so I decided we're going out there. And here we are in, I don't even know where this is. This is a photo I took in this past fall. It was near Netherlands. There's it's a beautiful area, beautiful part of Colorado, not so far from Denver. And the reason that the reason that I took this picture is, if you could see right here, that's my sukkah. You see my portable sukkah over there? This was taken during sukkah's time. I have one of these pop-up sukkahs, and we take it out everywhere, and you pop it out of the bag, and there you go. You're celebrating Sukkot in Colorado in the wild, the great outdoors. So that picture, there's a few of us actually are in the sukkah. I don't know if you can actually see us. Anyway, it was a lot of fun, and we set it up, and then I walked around the lake till we could get that picture and enjoying it. It's the mountains are that way. And the mountains are behind me, and in the picture anyway. And it was a very gorgeous Shabbos afternoon. I remember that on Sukkot, the holiday, has a part of the practice. We really only eat and drink in the sukkah. So we have this pop-up sukkah so that we can go out into the wild wilderness and enjoy and eat and drink in a sukkah. So we bring our sukkah with us, kind of like the Jewish turtle. And so we went halfway through the hike, we decided we need a snack. So we popped up the sukkah right in the middle of the trail, and we're sitting in our sukkah. People are walking by us, probably wondering what's going on, and we're sitting in our sukkah in the middle of the trail having a snack, and then we close it down, keep going. I think we popped it up 3 times before we got to the lake. But that's just because Jewish hiking for us is basically going to beautiful places and eating. That's like Jewish hiking, like where can we eat, somewhere nice. So we pack up a snack and we go eat it somewhere. That's Jewish hiking as far as I'm concerned. But I hope you all are doing okay. And it's nice to see you on Monday here for a great week. We have a great week at Live at 5 scheduled for you. We have 2, not 1, but 2 remarkable guests slated to join us here in the studio this week. We're going to have one of my dear friends, Shimshon Rubin, who his father was one of our kids' principals at Hill Academy, and he himself has come and gone and he's back. He lives in Denver. He's a neighbor and a good friend, and he's going to join us on the show. And on Tuesday, God willing, and Thursday, Dr. Michael Malabsky, also an old friend and a talented pediatrician and a neat guy. Both of them really will be fun to have on the show Tuesday and Thursday. So it's a big week for us. I want to also mention initially a mazel tov to some good friends of ours. Ari and Mimi Weiss had a baby girl yesterday. Mazel tov, very nice. I think Mimi did it, not Ari, but it's a joint effort, and we're very happy for them. They have 2 boys and now a little girl, so that's nice. We this morning, because the custom would be to give a little girl her name after she's born. At the first opportunity you get where you can do a public baby naming, which usually involves Torah reading. So that if you're born, on a Sunday, the first public Torah reading after your birth is on a Monday, which would be this morning. So the baby, whose name is Me'ira Chaya got her name this morning. And afterwards, this is even better than that because she gets a name eventually. That's not so exciting. But even better than that, the father, my dear friend Ari, served grab and go herring for all of us. We had scotch. We had grab and go herring with crackers and some rugelach that was beautifully prepared by our friends at the East Side Kosher Deli, and came in a little clamshell, and it was all very safe. Corona. This is the way we do a Jewish baby naming in the pandemic era, which is we have grab and go herring, and it was very remarkable. I actually took a picture and gave everybody involved a shout out: the Weisses, the deli, and the Jewish people for being so clever. Everybody else is at home, and we're eating herring in clamshell packages. I just think that's the ingenuity of the Jewish people. So I'm really delighted for them, and Me'ira Chaya is a very lovely name. And so when you hear about something like that, to give a blessing that may she grow up and give her parents and the Jewish people a lot of nachas. Okay, do we ever know what nachas is? Nachas is the Hebrew word for that we've talked about before, which is that we should all have the pleasure of others' successes. So it's like saying she should be successful, and it should be in a way that gives us a great deal of pleasure, and we should have nachas. Not only we, but God, and everyone should have nachas from her. Particularly, of course, God should have nachas, satisfaction when you want to do something right, and you want to really nail it, and you want to live your life in a way that that is the achievement of what you were created for. This is what I was born to do. I don't know if the show is what I was born to do or not, but whatever it is I'm doing, you want to give the creator of the universe nachas, that you're really achieving what you were created for. And each and every one of us, no matter who we are, we were created for something. You were created for something. You are you, and the world needs you. You're created for something. In fact, uh, someone said beautifully that, and my wife shared it with me, that your birthday is the day that God decided the universe could not possibly go on another day without you. Isn't that powerful? That's what you have to think about. On that day, God said the universe cannot continue without you, and so you bring something extremely unique to the world, and that was what you're created for. And so and there are no exceptions to this rule. By the way, there are no exceptions. This is a rule with no exceptions. If you're alive in this planet, then you have a unique contribution to make, and your sense of self-esteem and fulfillment will be when you feel like you're working on that, looking for it, trying to figure out what it is, working towards it, and you give yourself the credit for I'm trying to figure out and accomplish what I was created to accomplish, and I want to give my creator nachas. And her blessing to Meira Chaya Weiss, born yesterday, is that she should grow up to fulfill the purpose for which she was created, and give God and all of us a lot of nachas. And her parents, they should have, and we also could bless them that they should have all the resources and the clarity and the good health to be able to raise her in the way that they should, and to continue to provide scotch and herring and little clamshell packages for us throughout the pandemic. Okay. Now, did you notice, by the way, my little thing here? So I wanted to, this is a little product. I'm having a sponsor moment on the show. Live at 5 sponsor moment. So look at this jazzy, I don't know if you can tell, it's like blue. This is nice. I got this jazzy blue beaded, holder. What do you call this? I don't know. Is there a name for it? For my mask. Now, somebody said it looks like you're just getting ready to get your teeth cleaned. But the truth is that you got your mask on, and then you walk into a place where you don't have to wear it, so you don't want to lose it, you don't want to drop it. It's I do put it in my glasses. It's and then I could be like a librarian. But if you want one of these, so I got mine from my dear friend Sandy Schwartz. Her daughter Kayla works here and has had a nice one, and I probably complimented a little too much. And she said, "Oh, I can get you one of those." So her mom, Sandy, made me one also. And she has a little business from home. Let us know at the show here at the back office of Live at 5. Let us know if you'd like to order one of these really cool, handy, homemade Sandy Schwartz specials to hold your mask around when you need it. Speaking of sponsors, I wanted to mention another sponsor. There's a lovely young man who moved from Israel. Okay. And this is his card. Okay. Super Junkers LLC. Now, this is fine young man, Levy. Levy. His last name escapes me at the moment. It'll probably come to me. But he has a little, like a light moving and small junk removal, furniture hauling, cleanups and demos, that kind of thing, clear outs. And he happens to be that as he was doing this for someone told him to throw away a bunch of stuff. And in the stuff was an electric snowblower. So he said, "Is anybody interested in an electric snowblower for cheap?" So my wife said, "Boy, I'd like to have a snowblower. Might save my husband's back one day and it won't go out." And so we went over and picked up a very inexpensive electric snowblower. And now we just need some snow. But if you have any garbage that you need hauled, or a small moves or anything like that, this is a great guy to call. Levy, Super Junkers LLC. The phone number is 720 2487076, but more easy to remember is superjunkers.com. He didn't pay me for this, but I'm very appreciative, and so I'm giving him a shout out. And we need to support. He's a young Israeli guy, and they moved to Denver, and we should support his efforts. So those are my sponsor moments for today. Before we get too much further in the show, I just wanted to mention the calendar heads up this particular week. Shabbos is what we call Shabbos Mevarchen Chodesh Adar, which means it is the Shabbos on which we will say the blessing of the imminent arrival of the next Jewish month, which is called Adar. And that month is the month in which Purim falls. So once Adar comes, then you know that Purim is not far behind. So put Purim on your calendar, because you don't want to miss it. And it is Thursday and Friday, the 25th and 26th. Thursday night and Friday day, the 25th and 26th of February, is Purim. So that's coming up. Calendar heads up for today. The other thing that's really been on my mind, unfortunately, for the last day or so was, unfortunately, not some great news. I put in there as the sort of the tagline of today's show. There's a little bit of sad news for the Jewish people, and it's very unfortunate. They were unfortunately, in the last 24 hours or 48 hours, the Jewish people lost really a number of very significant voices of Torah scholars, rabbinic leaders, people of tremendous Jewish value to the Jewish people on a massive level, lost. And I just want to name a few of them and tell you a little bit about each of them. It's unfortunate. We will start with Rabbi Avram Torsky of blessed memory. Rabbi Torsky, who we were praying for his health last week, and unfortunately he declined. And died. I think it was either yesterday or Shabbos, but it was very recent. And Ravam Torsky is a member of the Torsky family. So many remarkable Torskys, and have so many contributions. He himself was a voluminous author. I don't know how many books he wrote, but he never stopped writing and publishing helpful books for the Jewish people. I have many on my shelf. I certainly haven't read anywhere near all of them, but he was a doctor. He was a psychiatrist. He counseled and helped many people, and his books are fabulous resources for all of us in any moments of life. He particularly wrote uplifting, helpful, valuable works on grappling with difficult things. The most recent that someone gave me was about a person who's lost a job, out of work, and how do I still, where do I derive my sense of self and value without a living, without a job, a challenging reality, and a whole book on that. That was his way. And if he saw that people could potentially be going through difficult times, he probably wrote a book on how to handle it. So check out Avram Torsky's works, and may we continue to benefit from all of the great things that he left us. It is a sad loss for the Jewish people, his passing this week. The next one I want to mention, unfortunately, is Rav David Soloveitchik. Zecher Tzaddik Livracha. Rabbi Soloveitchik was one of the direct descendants of a great rabbinic figure, Rav Chaim of Brisk. Rav Chaim Soloveitchik was really a couple centuries ago. I think he lived in the 19th century. It's a long line of tremendous rabbinic voices, and in part the way that Jewish scholarship is conducted today is a stylistic we follow in the stylistic footsteps of Rav Chaim Soloveitchik. Now, there are many Soloveitchiks that have descended from him, and that are themselves many brilliant teachers. Rav David Soloveitchik was a Rosh Yeshiva in one of the Brisk yeshivas. That's the town of Brisk in Europe. One of the yeshivas that comes from that Talmudic tradition in the city of Brisk in Europe. And our very own Rabbi Aaron Wasserman was a student in that yeshiva. So this was his Rosh Yeshiva, Rav David Soloveitchik. And I know many others. It's a very prestigious yeshiva. And Rabbi David Soloveitchik was really one of those incredible individuals that has taught. and passed away also yesterday. One more I want to mention, Rav Avi Dan. Two more. Rav Avi Dan was a rabbi who I don't know very well, but I know he was close to many, particularly in Denver. I think he had visited Denver, and he was a Rosh Hashiva in a place called Shalavim. We have many students that have been there. Most notably, my dear colleague Alan Hutt's son Benjamin Hutt is there, and this is his Rosh Hashiva, Rav Shlomo Fried. I believe might even have been his Masad or Kedushin, the one who conducted his wedding. That is a tragic loss as well. And lastly, I just want to mention one more Rabbi Yitzchak Shiner. Rabbi Yitzchak Shiner was the Rosh Hashiva of another great institution, the Dean, the head of the great the Yeshiva of Kamenetz. Kamenetz, another great European yeshiva tradition. It was a yeshiva in Israel, and he was. I don't know a lot about his real past, but he spoke a beautiful English. I assume that he was American, born or lived in America much of his life. And so there was something he traveled in the circle of great Israeli, Rosh Yeshiva, heads of yeshivas, but he was an English speaker. And so on one of my last Israel trips before the pandemic was a bar bat mitzvah trip. I took a small group, Dave Reynolds. I took you to his living room and dining room. And you remember we were greeted by him in his home. He told us amazing stories. He told us about the Holocaust. He greeted us so warmly. And unfortunately, I'm so sad to share the news of the sad news and tragic news of his passing yesterday. So that was we went to these are each and every one of them is a serious loss to the Jewish people. All of them together in such, and you're talking about 24 hours, 36 hours, so many great leaders to go in such a moment. It's really it's a blow. It's an incalculable blow. And we, there, I just mentioned this one idea that our sages actually have said, and it's based on a verse in the Torah that basically juxtaposes the righteous and some of the offerings that we have brought. That there's an idea that just like when an offering a gift to God in the temple, an offering is something that we do because it has great positive value of atonement. It cleanses our world. It cleanses us of our, of the distance that we create, sometimes between ourselves and God, and it can fix that, and it can bring us closer. It can heal some of our spiritual shortcomings, and that's why we bring offerings to the temple. And the juxtaposition suggests that so too is the passing of righteous people in our lives. And when great people pass, that at the very least there isn't, their loss is somehow a benefit, a spiritual source of benefit to the Jewish people. And obviously we would much rather have them in our midst, but in their loss, we at least recognize that there is value, and we pray that the Jewish people should have a needed benefit, the atonement, the kapara, the atonement that their passing can bring. The death of the righteous can bring that kapara, and that's a classic Jewish idea. It's obviously appropriate here at such a moment. So I just wanted to mention that, and we say, zichronam levracha, may their memory be, may as we remember them, maybe that be a blessing for all of us. Okay. Now, if we'll turn a little bit today, I was thinking of of going on a little bit of a rant, but it just doesn't seem like the right thing to do. Ranting, you hear that a lot today. People, there's a rant, this or that rant, and I hate when people do that. And I think it's awful. And we should never rant. I think it's terrible. Never. No one should rant. I hate ranting. You get the point. You know what I'm saying? It's just not a ranting is nothing that we should want to do on the show. We want to share uplifting things, but I do think I don't remember what my rant was going to be about. All right, so let's move on in the show. I don't think we'll rant today. I think I'll have to either figure out what it was or it's not worth it. But I did also want to speak a little bit about some of the excitement in the parsha, and this is the parsha of the Ten Commandments, which is a very exciting time. The parsha is so named for Moses's father-in-law Jethro, as in Jethro Tull. Yisro, his name is in Hebrew is Yisro, and he was he is such a remarkable person. If you think about it for a second, that, can you imagine the honor, the eternal honor of being the person that the parsha of the giving of the Torah and the Ten Commandments is named for you? I mean, like, it's an unbelievable thing, right? I mean, who wouldn't like line up thinking about that? It would be unbelievable thing to be the person for whom the parsha is named, that the Torah was given in. Pretty cool. And who was he? So Yisro was he was he interestingly shares some some connection, some comparison to Abraham in some ways. I'll tell you why. We have an idea about that. We know that the recorded in the annals of Jewish midrashim and our history, that Abraham himself grew up in a family that was not particularly holy, monotheistic. Abraham's father, Terach, apparently was a trader in idols. I mean, if you were, were someone who worshipped idols for, as part of your life, you needed to have an idol to worship. Maybe you had to. So Terach, Abraham's father, was an idol merchant. I can only imagine what kind of a deals he would have made, like trade in, you can all kind of upgrades and lease, rent to own. You can think of all kinds of great a Jewish cup, and you apply a Yiddish cup to idol merchant. You probably did a lot of great business in trading in the idol business. So Abraham grows up in this household where there's idols everywhere, and the Medrash says that Abraham at a very, very young age was very disenchanted with idolatry. He saw, as it were, we would say he saw through it, in a sense of he said, "There's nothing here. There's nothing here. This is something something that we create in order to, and then worship, and yet what kind of power could it possibly have? What kind of value could there possibly be?" And Abraham himself came to a recognition on his own that this can't be right, that it can't be multiple forces and powers in the world. There must be one unified force and principle in the world that we would think about as God. And God initiated a conversation with Abraham and said, "You got it." There's actually a clever story, an unbelievable story. Think about our clever Abraham as he sought to teach the world this message. So it says one day when his father was out, so he took a stick and he smashed all the idols with a stick. He smashed them. He broke them. The whole story. He destroyed all the idols except for one. And he took that stick and he put the stick in the hand of that one idol. His father came home and said, what happened over here? Who broke all the idols?" And he looked at Abraham, and Abraham said, "He did it." So, so the point was, it says Terach, the father must have been like, "What are you thinking? You think he smashed all the idols? He's an idol." So Abraham's point was, and so why are we worshiping them exactly? What could he accomplish? He can't even move. He can't even take a stick and smash the other one. You don't believe that he could do that. So what do you believe that he could do? What's the point? What purpose? What possible power do you think they have? None. In some ways, Yisro is similar to Abraham. Abraham, we talk of as the father of all converts. He's the one because Abraham brings people to the table, and he models that because he himself comes from idolatry, and he knows what it is and what it isn't. The Medrash actually says that Abraham tried all them out. He tried them all, and he said, "There's nothing here." He looked into it, he examined, he thought about it, he learned what's right and what's not right from it all. And Yisro is the same type of story. Yisro's story is he's called the Kohen of Midian. Now, the word Kohen sounds like he was, Mr. Cohen. It sounds like he would fit right in at shul. You gave him the first aliyah, and he would be happy to stick around for schnapps and herring afterwards. But when we say Kohen here, prior to the existence of the Jewish people, it means he was a priest of idolatrous practices. He was a Kohen. Really means like a religious servant, a religious one who serves. He was a priest. He was a priest of idolatrous things in Midian. And he himself ultimately came to recognize and realize, this is Moshe's father-in-law, he came to recognize and realize that all of that stuff is for naught. All that stuff is not, there's no truth to it. There's no point to it. There's no power to it. That there's, you pay close attention to the Jewish people, and you see the lessons of the Exodus point you, absolutely incontrovertibly to recognition of the fact there's only one God in this world, one creator, and everything else is a sub force, is a subordinate to the boss, and there is only one boss. And Yisro then, in a sense, his life carries that same path, follows that same path as Abraham's, as he comes from outside and he comes into, it comes into the recognition and becomes part of the Jewish people. So if Abraham is called the father of all converts, Yisro is like the first, the first, of all demonstrable converts who comes into the Jewish people and joins them. He actually joins them from Midian in the desert where they're about to receive the Torah. So think about that for a second. So Jews in Egypt, Moses goes away from them. He runs away from Egypt and he goes to Midian, and he meets his wife to be Zipporah, and he meets her father Yisro. He lives by them for a long time. When he comes back, he leaves his daughter. He leaves his wife. Moshe leaves his wife Zipporah, and they have two boys, and he leaves them in the care of his father-in-law Yisro, and he comes back by himself. The Jewish people leave Egypt and they go out into the desert, and Yisro and Moshe's family rejoin them. And that parsha begins as Yisro shows up. And he shows up and he comes to join the Jewish people. And he will stay with them for some time. He joins the Jewish people. And he brings along with him Moshe's family, his wife, and two kids. His wife is Zipporah, and the boys' names are Gershon and Eliezer, and their names are mentioned here in the beginning of the Torah. And so that's the parsha's name. And then later on in the parsha, we're going to read about the 10 Commandments and the giving of the Torah, and the single most important event in the Jewish people. And that whole event occurs in the parsha of Yisro. And I'm just going to give you one last sort of thought for this before we have to go for today. But the truth is that it's very fitting that the Jewish people receive the Torah in the parsha of Yisro. If he is like the sort of the paradigm of converts, because the Jewish people, the concept of conversion comes from the giving of the Torah. When the Jewish people become the Jewish people at Mount Sinai, that is the paradigm from then on of conversion. What took place there in mass, it's almost like the experience of Mount Sinai. When the Jewish people become the Jewish people, they opt in, they accept the Torah. There's circumcision, there's the mikvah, and everything happens. That is the real place from which conversion is learned. The entire Jewish people become Jewish at that one moment. So it's like a mass conversion. Everybody became the Jewish people. And subsequently, any individual who wants to follow in their footsteps and become, an individual can also join and become the Jewish part of the Jewish people, and they do so by the process of conversion, mimicking, following the footsteps of what everybody did. There's no real greater magic to it than anything. It's just like the Jewish people became the Jewish people of Mount Sinai, so too any individual subsequently joins the Jewish people by following in their footsteps, and therefore it's perfect that the giving of the Torah and that moment is in the parsha of Yisro. folks. I hope you had a great. I hope you have a great rest of your day, healthy and holy. Thanks for joining us on Live at 5. We hope to see you tomorrow for our guest, Shimshon Rubin. And don't forget to join us on Thursday as well for our guest, Mike Malabsky. And that's our show for today. Have a healthy and a holy. Thanks for joining us.